Hey everyone, it's Zack Beck. The last year has been crazy for cryptocurrency. Whether you believe it is a scam or you believe it's the future of finance, the truth of the matter is that Bitcoin is up over 800% over the last year and Ethereum is up over 1300%. And because of that, you might be asking yourself, how can I invest into these currencies when they're at such high prices right now? Well, the good news is that Coinbase was just listed onto the NASDAQ exchange. And because of that, you now have the ability to invest into Bitcoin, Ethereum, as well as any alternative cryptocurrencies, not by buying them directly, but instead by investing into Coinbase. So what I want to do in this video is break down in detail what Coinbase is and how its listing onto the NASDAQ exchange will affect cryptocurrency prices moving forward. So let's take our time, dive into the details, and jump into it right now. As previously mentioned, Coinbase has been listed onto the NASDAQ exchange as the first major crypto business to go public, and they decided to go with a direct listing as opposed to an IPO. And you might be asking yourself, what is Coinbase? So Coinbase was founded in 2012 by a gentleman by the name of Brian Armstrong, and what we are seeing is that they really provide the platform for people to use to go ahead and purchase cryptocurrencies such as Bitcoin and Ethereum. And because of that, with the astronomical rise of the prices of those different currencies, Coinbase has become very prevalent in the crypto space because it's a very intuitive, easy to use platform for people to go and actually purchase these currencies. And now with cryptocurrencies becoming all the more prevalent in our society, Coinbase has decided to go public. And they're going public with a lot of momentum. That is because they had nearly $1.8 billion of estimated revenue in the first quarter. And also what we're finding is that they have millions of people who are actually using the platform with a lot of potential for further growth. And that is causing the valuation to be very high right now for where Coinbase stands. And I think it's important for us to take a step back and understand why someone would want to invest into Coinbase as opposed to investing into cryptocurrencies themselves. Now, I'm not here to tell you to do any of those things because generally speaking, I invest into index funds and I'm more hesitant to go into the crypto space a little bit, but I only have a tiny fraction of my assets going in that direction. But if you are choosing to do so and you want to go ahead and invest into Coinbase or into Bitcoin or anything to that extent, I believe it's important to think about the historical trends that have happened in history. And what we saw back in the gold rush in the 1800s is the people who actually went out and tried to mine for gold weren't the people who actually made most of the money. It was the people who provided the picks and shovels and sold them to people who were going out and trying to mine for gold. And we're having a very similar situation happening right here. People are going ahead and purchasing Bitcoin. They're literally mining for it, and they're doing so with other cryptocurrencies like Ethereum and other alternatives. Now, I'm not saying that this is just a fool's gold rush or anything to that extent, but what you will see is that Coinbase is basically providing the picks and shovels to those who are trying to go ahead and get these cryptocurrencies. So when you think about what might be a safer alternative with a little bit less volatility, you might have that in Coinbase. Now, once again, you're going to see that because the price of Coinbase does have a lot of correlation between Bitcoin and Ethereum, that we might see a bit of a rocky road ahead for it, but there's a lot of room for growth as well. So in that sense, I think it's important for us to maybe understand why listing it onto the NASDAQ exchange could affect our ability to actually invest into the crypto space. With this listing on the NASDAQ exchange, Coinbase, going under the ticker symbol COIN, is really providing a bit of validation to cryptocurrency in that regard. And that is because prior to Coinbase, it was very difficult to go on some of these exchanges to go and purchase assets like a Bitcoin or an Ethereum. And it would require a lot of time, energy, and detail to actually understand how to do so. Personally, when I purchased Bitcoin a while ago, I had to go through a company called Gemini. It was fine, but it definitely took a bit of navigating and understanding the intricacies of the blockchain network. So from that standpoint alone, the user easiness associated with Coinbase is definitely an asset for them. But furthermore, by getting more validation in a public space such as the NASDAQ exchange, it really does help more people consider potentially wanting to invest into them. But also it opens up a broader market of people who might have been hesitant to go and actually purchase Bitcoin, but are much more confident investing into a stock. So that's something that is really going to have an interesting effect on what we might see happen with prices for assets like Bitcoin or Ethereum moving forward. But furthermore, it might get more widespread adoption that is also correlating with what has happened previously when we had companies like Tesla spending $1.5 billion investing that into Bitcoin itself, and other companies now allowing Bitcoin to be used for purchasing assets and also using them on platforms like PayPal and others. So from that standpoint alone, we're seeing a little bit of a broader adoption of cryptocurrencies writ large, and now this is opening up the doors for more ETFs associated with Bitcoin to actually be something that people are introduced to as well. So people are going to be looking at Bitcoin and Ethereum and other synonymous cryptocurrencies, not just simply as the investments themselves, but actually a way for people to get into the market and not have to be touching them directly, but instead investing into ETFs or into companies like Coinbase itself. So you might be asking yourself, what is going to happen to cryptocurrencies because of this listing? And like I said previously, Coinbase is really trying to corner what they call the crypto economy. And what they have right now is they are the second largest platform outside of Binance for them to actually go ahead and allow people to invest into these currencies, and doing so in a fairly user-friendly manner. But what we are finding is that this is going to have a little bit of a broader scale adoption for other people who are interested in getting into the crypto space, but might be more hesitant to do so if they don't have the validation of a public entity such as NASDAQ or a stock exchange allowing people to go and invest into them. And what is a little bit ironic about this is that the whole concept of having decentralized finance on the blockchain networks such as Bitcoin or Ethereum is that we don't associate with more of those larger scale public institutions that have a lot of regulation. But the truth of the matter is that is where you're going to have even more market share when people are going in there. So people who are investing into Coinbase aren't investing directly into Bitcoin, they're investing into the company that provides the platform. So it's something for you to understand that if you're wanting to go slightly more traditional route, this might be a good way to go. But ultimately, it's going to be up to your discretion and your ability to decide how much risk you can tolerate moving forward. And that is because I anticipate this to be a fairly bumpy road moving forward. What we've seen happen over the last year in the crypto space is astronomical. These prices have gone all over the place, but what we potentially might see is those prices, as quickly as they came up, could potentially come down. Now, it's not as likely as what happened back in 2017 when Bitcoin crashed, and that is because we have more institutional investors going and pouring money into this space. But if you're interested in getting a little bit of a taste of what could be involved with Bitcoin, with Ethereum, or with other cryptocurrencies, investing into Coinbase might be a good entry point for you to do so. Furthermore, like I mentioned, this could potentially open up the doorway for ETFs associated with cryptocurrencies to come online. And if that happens, then people are going to be able to invest basically into an index fund associated with cryptocurrencies. And that might even be a more slightly passive and intuitive way for you to get invested into the space if you believe it's important. And people look at cryptocurrencies potentially as a store of value or also as a hedge against inflation. So it's really up to your discretion how much you want in your portfolio associated with this. And from that standpoint alone, I believe it's important for us as always to be wise stewards of our finances and to not always get caught up in the hype, because there's a similar feeling I have right now as I'm making this video talking to you as I had when GameStop was going all over the place. Clearly, the fundamentals of that are very different. That was a shorted stock. That was something very different that people were doing online. But whenever you have a lot of hype associated with a company that hasn't been around for a very long time, it's not necessarily good for us to pour all of our money into that. So if you want to dabble a little bit into Coinbase, that might be a good play for yourself with potential for a lot of room for growth. But if you just want to get started with investing, you might be just better off by sticking to your traditional index funds and holding them for a long period of time. Once again, that is up to your discretion as to what you think is best for yourself personally. The most effective way to get involved in the crypto space is to mine the like button for the YouTube algorithm. I'm just kidding, but if you wouldn't mind tapping that like button, that would really help the channel out and push this video to other people who might need to hear it, and hopefully they can make wise decisions for themselves depending upon what they think of this Coinbase IPO. You might be asking yourself, is Coinbase going to be the strongest cryptocurrency market moving forward? Now, there's something that you should really be aware of, is that cryptocurrencies generally perform on the blockchain and are traded accordingly. But when you use a platform like something along the lines of Coinbase, you actually pay a fee associated with the transactions associated with Bitcoin or with Ethereum. So what we're going to find is that that's primarily where most of the revenue for Coinbase exists, is where the transactions happen. They have a fee associated with that. Now, what you might see happen moving forward is other companies with slightly more aggressive pricing, or what happens in any capitalistic environment where you're going to have more competition, it might lower the price down, or we might see fees waived altogether. So from that standpoint, you might see more competition a few years down the road where Coinbase is going to face some stiff opposition, and that might cause their stock to decline. But once again, Coinbase seems to be the biggest player in the space right now. They're basically a couple years ahead of other people who are just entering into it, a la a Robinhood. But you might want to be aware of that so that way you don't invest all of your money into it thinking that it's going to be this cash cow moving forward. And once again, I am just a guy on YouTube. I do not have all the answers, just reporting to you what I've been studying, what I've been researching, and how I've been investing into the market accordingly. So from that standpoint alone, just be wise stewards of your finances. Don't get too caught up in the hype, but definitely be aware of what is going on so that way if you want to make a tactical and strategic decision to help you as an investor, you might be able to benefit from this environment right now with Coinbase going public. With all that being said, I'd like to thank you for watching the video today. If you wouldn't mind, please tap the like button for the YouTube algorithm. Help push this video to other people who might need to hear it. Furthermore, if you have any questions, please comment down below. I'd love to interact with you, get to know you, do any research on your behalf, and help you make wise decisions moving forward. Furthermore, if you wouldn't mind, please subscribe to the channel. That would mean a lot to myself personally, as I do everything I can to create positive content that makes a positive impact in your life by encouraging you and myself to lead lives of meaning and purpose, all while maintaining balance and moderation. And if you do subscribe to the channel, please tap the notification bell. That will notify you every time I post a video, which I do on a weekly basis. Once again, I'd like to thank you for watching the video today. I hope you have a wonderful day. Talk to you next time.